Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It's Thursday morning. I hope you're all well wherever you're watching or listening to today's episode around this world of Arsenal. You should be well. Arsenal are sitting top of the Premier League for a short time only, you would imagine. We'd all love Sheffield United to do Arsenal a favour tonight at Anfield, but I think we're all pretty realistic about the chances of that happening, aren't they? But look, Arsenal could do what they had to do yesterday. That was all they had in their hands, was to win. And that's what they've got to do between now and the end of the season. Just win and then see what happens elsewhere. And when they did, very, very comfortably, 2-0 in the end against Luton. Wasn't the prettiest. Second half, I think you could certainly look at as a little bit of a disappointment. They had opportunities maybe to score more goals. To really push on, didn't really take it, whether that was down to the amount of changes that Arteta had made and certain players weren't really sort of up to speed, fitness-wise, fatigue-wise, and that led to Arsenal losing their impetus in the second half. And then even if you make changes and bring players on, sometimes it's very hard to refine that impetus. And I think Arsenal certainly struggled with that. And fair play to Luton, they gave it a go in the second half. Never really looked like scoring against this pretty watertight Arsenal defence that we are seeing week in, week out now. But they did give it a go. And I think that's what you kind of say about Luton all season, isn't it? It's why I think they've added an awful lot to the Premier League and why I'd love them to stay up. Whether they do or not, we'll have to wait and see. But for Arsenal, it was just another good win. Continues the unbeaten start to 2010. 2010? What am I talking about? 2024. Where did that come from? In the Premier League. And there's not really much more to say about the sort of manner of the performance, was it? It was just a get the job done type win. Martin Odegaard was excellent in the first half. Emile Smith Rowe was excellent, I thought, in the first half. Deservedly walked away with man of the match. We'll talk about Emile Smith Rowe in today's game. We'll look at what in today's show. Sorry, it's really early this morning. I'm really struggling my way through this. Got back very late last night. Piccadilly line was a nightmare. Got back late last night and I was trying to prepare this video as well because I'm going out early doors this morning to take my son out somewhere. So having to record this early, so I'm going to stumble my way through it in a little bit of a daze. Got my coffee right next to me that is helping. Anyway, so 2-0 Arsenal win. We'll talk about all of that. Mikel Arteta's reaction, got some comments and questions from you guys as well, reacting to the win. So we'll look at what you've been saying as well. I mean, when you look at the stats, it was a comfortable Arsenal win. Expected goals, Luton just 0.3. I'm surprised it was even 0.3, to be honest. Arsenal 1.2, 14 shots to Arsenal, 5 to Luton, 4 on target for Arsenal, just the 1 for Luton, 4 open play shots for Luton, 11 for Arsenal. And as you can imagine, Arsenal dominating possession. So it was a comfortable win. It was a deserved win. It was a win that Luton manager Rob Edwards, who spoke really well after the game, actually admitted that Arsenal thoroughly deserved. I don't think there could be too many complaints from Luton. And for Arsenal, it was just a case of getting the job done, and that's all they can do. I mean, Mikel Arteta used the opportunity to make some changes. I thought he would. We spoke about it in yesterday's show, didn't we? That, without disrespecting Luton, it's just you look at Arsenal's fixtures between now and the end of the season. They're an incredibly tough run of games Arsenal have got coming up. They're going to need to use their squad, to utilise their squad. And if you're not going to do it against Luton, then you're not going to have many opportunities to do it. I wasn't quite expecting them to make 5 from the team that beat Manchester City. I thought maybe we'd see 2 or 3, but he made 5, which was the most he's made since that game against Norwich way back when, after the transfer window at the start of the 21 season, was it, when they lost 3 games in a row during COVID? Thought Arteta might get sacked, and then he brought in everyone for that game against Norwich. Jim Ramsdale, Ben White, Tommy Astu, everyone made 7 changes. This is the most he's made in one game since then. He was asked about his reasoning for his changes. He said, "We made 5 for players that fully deserve to play because they give me the right reasons every day to do so. They have to be used, and I think they had a really good impact on the team." He said Emile had an impact for sure, and Reece as well. Alex had some really good moments. Thomas had his first start since August. That is unbelievable. Leo comes into the team and he makes an impact. It's really important because now they're physically better, mentally better. They are confident and they are ready to go. There are always questions if it's only half of the team, and in the end we'll be judged on what we do and whether it's right or wrong because of the results. We should not do that. We should do it because they fully deserve it, regardless if we win, draw or lose. Today they gave us a reason that we have to trust them. Said they started really strong, generated a lot of momentum in the first half and had some big chances, scored 2 great goals in the second half. We lacked a little bit more composure and simplicity in our play to be more dominant and to avoid those transitions. But overall, we made the changes. We won the game, clean sheet, and we go again and again. They will on Saturday at Brighton. I thought it was interesting where he says there that basically the result depends on how everyone views whether he should have made changes or not. Had Arsenal drawn that game or lost that game, all the focus would have been on the changes. It would have been a massive, massive mistake. And I agree. I don't think you should always look at it like that. I think if you really significantly weakening a team, bringing in a load of kids or something like that, maybe you would look at it and think, what are you doing? That is disrespectful to a Premier League team like Luton. But this is, when you're talking about changes, you're talking about Emile Smith Rowe, Thomas Partey, Leandro Trossard, Alexander Zinchenko, top players, international players. So I think it is very, very different. And I think you just got to say you have to use the squad. Whatever happened yesterday, I still think it was the right decision by Mikel Arteta to make those changes. And thankfully for Arsenal, what happened was they won. So all the spotlight on his decision now hasn't fallen like it would have done if the result had gone the other way. One of those changes of Emile Smith Rowe, he was my man of the match. He was TNT Sports' man of the match. I watched him come down onto the pitch after the game. There was lots of Arsenal fans who sort of stayed behind to watch the post-match interviews on the pitch side. And Smith Rowe came out, got a huge reception from the Arsenal fans who were still there. You could see just by the way he was talking with TNT how much it meant to him, that getting that start, putting in a good performance, the reception. He got a standing ovation when he was substituted. Look, in my view, I think Emile's probably going to end up going in the summer. I think we can all see where this story's going and how it's going to end. I'll be surprised if it's any different come the end of the summer. But for now, I loved watching him play again yesterday in that first half. He tired, understandably, in the second half. But in that first half, when he was on it, he was making those runs. He was winning the ball back, showing really good intent to win the ball back. He had quality on the ball when he got into the final third. He was driving into the box. That sort of play. It's everything we know Emile Smith Rowe for. And I think he provides something very, very different that Arsenal don't have. Personally, I think he's been underused. I think you could see that by his level of performance yesterday. He offers more to this team. He can offer more to this team. I wish Arteta would use him more. He hasn't. And look, you look at results and look where Arsenal are on the table, and you can't really fault Arteta for that. But I was delighted for him to have a really good moment yesterday. It's unlucky he didn't score. He had that shot that was saved. It'd be great to see him score at least once between now and the end of the season. Just to have that kind of moment of adulation from the fans. Again, I think that been an awful lot to him, but I thought he had a really good game. And Mikel said, look, I think a lot of him, in terms of, he said, he was asked, is this going to give Smith Rowe confidence between now and the end of the season? And he said, I think it is a lot. I love him as a player. It's a joy to watch how he moves, how he changes direction, how physical he was today as well without the ball. He won a lot of duels and he was thinking with that killer instinct to play forward and to make things happen. And when Emile was in that moment, it's very difficult to stop. Today, he helped us a lot to win the game, and he absolutely did. And like I said, I thought it was a really good performance from Smith Rowe, and I was really, really happy for him. And if he does end up leaving this summer, which I think he probably will, whoever does end up signing him are going to get a hell of a player. And he's been fit this season. It's not a case of he's been injured. He's picked up a couple of annoying injuries just at a time when he's got himself in and around the team again. But they were very, very, very short injuries, for the large majority of this season. In fact, since he came back after his operation halfway through last season, he's basically been fit. The whole myth of Smith Rowe being injury prone at the moment, you kind of look at his availability over the last 18 months and think it's not really the case. He has been fit and he has been available. I do think he should have played more, and I think he could have offered more had he been given more opportunities. But and he showed that last night, and I was really, really happy for him. So well done to Emile Smith Rowe. Martin Odegaard was brilliant in the first half. The chance that Smith Rowe missed, the pass, the way Odegaard managed to work the ball through to him was just absolute class. And his goal itself was brilliant. The finish, cutting across the ball like that. Just such a brilliant footballer to watch. I love watching Martin Odegaard. And I thought Mikel's comments about him afterwards were quite interesting. He said, it's a really important player. We needed that balance as well as the chemistry that certain players have, because it's how they train as well and how we build those connections and relationships. With Martin is there to connect everything well in how we play. And I think that was very important why, despite all the changes yesterday, Odegaard kept his place in the team. And I think that's really important when you see what Mikel's talking about there. He is that guy who kind of connects everything together. You can take a lot of players out of that team and change them. I think Odegaard is probably Arsenal's most important player for me. I think you take Odegaard out of this team, I think it's a very, very different looking team. And I include Saliba, Gabriel, Bukayo Saka in their level of importance. I really do think Odegaard is the glue that holds Arsenal together. When he was asked about how Odegaard drives the culture and the standards in the team now, he said he's made huge steps. His presence, the way he's behaving himself in front of the group and the standard that he sets is outstanding. He's got a lot of players as well to support him. and the rest to follow him. There was lots of question marks when Martin Odegaard was made Arsenal captain, but it's proven to be an absolutely the correct decision on and off the pitch. He's an absolute class act, and he's only going to get better as well, which is just such an exciting prospect for Arsenal. And yeah, I thought it was excellent last night. Right, Mikel Arteta's update on Bukayo Saka. Obviously, Saka not involved yesterday. He did arrive with the squad. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see him there arriving in the squad. He did train yesterday at London Colney, but after training, he felt something. He was talking with the medical staff about it, and those conversations, it was decided that he wasn't going to feature in the game, not even on the bench. Mikel said he was close to being involved, but he felt something again, similar to City, and it was a very short turnaround. Hopefully, he'll be able to train tomorrow, and he'll be available for the weekend. Now, the word is that it's a hamstring is what we're hearing, a slight hamstring issue, which does worry me whenever you hear the word hamstring, especially with a sort of acceleration type player like you'd class Bukayo Saka as. That does worry me. And when I always think of hamstrings, you think, can you take any sort of risk? Is there any sort of hamstring issue? And Brighton is not far away now, so we'll have to wait and see. Mikel obviously, hopefully, might be able to train today, so it'll be a late decision on Saka before they leave tomorrow for Brighton. But yeah, a little bit of a worry there. I thought Reece Nelson did all right yesterday. A little bit not on the same wavelength for the team at times. I thought he grew into the game a bit more, Reece Nelson. But yeah, Bukayo Saka is so important during this run-in. And you've got the big Champions League games coming up against against Bayern Munich. So I do wonder whatever happens if Brighton might be just a little bit too early for him. But we shall wait and see. Kai Havertz, just wanted to point this out. I am 99% convinced he is not on 9 bookings. Now, Mikel was asked after the game in a press conference, after Havertz got a stupid yellow card for diving yesterday. It was literally the last thing he did before he went off as well. 20 seconds later, he was going to be substituted. He was just waiting for the ball to go out of play. He went down for a free kick. Yellow card comes out for diving, deservedly so. It was stupid. It was very similar to what happened against Brentford. And afterwards, Mikel was asked about it being his 9th booking, which means he's only 1 game away from a ban. And if he gets a yellow card in the next 2 games, then he'd be banned for 2 games. But I've been looking, and I'm pretty sure he's on 8 yellow cards. So I don't think he's on 9. He got booked in the Community Shield, but that doesn't count. In the Premier League, he's had 8 bookings this season. I'm sure of it. So it would mean he'd have to get booked in both for the next 2 games, which is still a concern. He's been booked in the last 2. But if he is going to get that 2-game ban, because once you get to the 32nd match, I think the yellows get wiped and you're not sort of treading that suspension tightrope anymore. So I don't think it's quite as bad, the suspension risk, as people are saying at the moment, or some people are saying at the moment. I think he still needs to get 2 yellow cards in the next 2 games. But even so, he's going to have to tread carefully, Kai Havertz. Mikel was asked about it. He said, yeah, we have to be careful. Hopefully he doesn't get booked anymore, because with the 10th, we know what happens. He was asked if he's surprised that Kai's on 9 bookings for this season. That would include the Community Shield. He says, I am surprised. It's a different player. I don't know. I'll have to go back and look at some of those cards, but it's something to improve. We don't want our players to have that many, and I think we are the best in the league on that. Something to improve. Yeah, Arsenal got the best disciplinary record this season, least amount of yellow cards, I think, but Kai Havertz has picked up a fair few of them, and a lot of them are really sort of needless, silly yellow cards as well. And yesterday was certainly the latest in the line of those, and he does need to cut that out. It was good, though. It was the assist for Martin Odegaard. That's his 12th direct goal involvement in the Premier League this season for Arsenal. That's higher than he ever registered in any of his seasons for Chelsea, which shows how much Arsenal are getting out of Kai Havertz now. So that was a good point of his performance last night, but the yellow card was certainly a negative. All right, quickly going through my player ratings. I did do the video last night. If you haven't watched it yet, you can go and find it. It's on there. It's in the podcast as well, but I rattled through them now. So I gave Raya a 6. Again, that's not a bad mark. People are having a go at me for giving Raya a 6, but that's not a bad mark. And he barely. I know it's more about than just making saves as a goalkeeper now, and Raya swept up well, but I thought his distribution was a little bit lacking at times, and he didn't really have a save to make at all with his hands. So I gave him a 6, but again, that's not a bad mark. White, I gave an 8. I thought it was really good. Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko, I all gave 7s. Partey, I gave a 7. Tired a lot, but I thought Partey, there was some really, really positive signs in that first half from Thomas Partey. From him, his passing was good. He was splitting the lines, a couple of driving runs forward as well. Understandably tired, like a lot of players did in that second half, given his lack of game time. But I was really pleased with what I saw from Thomas Partey last night. I thought that was quite exciting for the run-in. Smith Rowe and Odegaard, I gave an 8. Smith Rowe was my man in the match. Nelson, Trossard, I gave 6s, and Havertz, I gave a 7. Lovely assist by Havertz. And I thought I was watching him close up, and he just gave their centre backs, especially in the first half, torrid time. You know, some of the shots didn't come off for Havertz, and a couple of times he sort of got brushed off the ball when he was in possession. But those two centre backs would have known when they came off at half time they'd been in a proper game. He was a real handful. He didn't give them a second's rest. And I thought he led the line really well, which is what he's having to do playing in this position for Arsenal. So I think Mikel Arteta would have been delighted with what he got from Kai Havertz, and his assist was a really nice one for Odegaard as well. So those are my player ratings last night from the starting 11. Okay, before we wrap this up, let's just talk about what you guys have been saying. Paul says, hey, Charles, just finished reading your book. Good stuff. Thank you very much. What a mature and calm performance tonight. Luton were never going to score against us. I thought Partey and ESR were gassed by the time they came off. Yeah, they were. But those minutes will be gold for both of them. Zinchenko started well but faded. Nelson was decent but limited. Tonight was all about White, Saliba, Gabriel, Trossard, Havertz and Odegaard. Giants. How nice it is to finally have a real squad. James says, fantastic all round. Over the moon to see SR play. Over the moon to see Partey return from injury. Over the moon to see Tommy's return from injury. Over the moon to see Nelson grow during the game. Over the moon, we kept a clean sheet. Over the moon, Odegaard goes from strength to strength. It was so painful enduring that pathetic performance. Ozil gave us all a bit of an Ozil dig there. Over the moon, Havertz has outperformed his best for the Chavs in his first season for us. Over the moon, Nketiah got a run out. Over the moon, we had no injuries, and we go into the home straight of the season, top of the league. Nice post there from James. Wallace says, so happy ESR got man of the match. Hopefully that will give him some confidence. He showed he can still get in this team. Sea Lord says, hey, Charles, just home from the match after issues on the Piccadilly line. Yep, tell me about it. That Piccadilly line is annoying me at the moment after Arsenal games. On ESR, apart from the fitness, he got injured after the last two league starts. Hopefully it's not third time lucky. Is the thing that he has to prove to Arteta his defensive work. The way he left Willock in the recent Newcastle game was a bad sign. Thought he tracked runners a lot better today. What do you think? Yeah, I thought he did. He thought he worked so hard today defensively off the ball. Mikel pointed that out in the press conference afterwards. You look at what he did to win the ball back for the first goal. I think Mikel liked that more than the actual assist he got for the second goal, seeing him win the ball and press the way he did. So I thought it was a really good all-round performance from Smith Rowe before he tired in the second half. I can't read that name. It's like Svev Ondrandamissen. Says, what are these ratings? Charles doesn't like my ratings. Leo, the same rating as Reese. Not sure what you were watching. Trossard was the best attacker on the day. Interesting. Havertz, besides his assist, was dreadful, if you ask me. I think that's really harsh. ESR had a good game, but not a great one. Anyway, solid win. We move. Again, 6 isn't a bad rating. I thought Leo played well. I thought he drifted in and out of the game. Did do some lovely stuff. The Cruyff turn he did on Andros Townsend was a real highlight. Loved that. But yeah, I didn't think 6 was that bad a rating, to be honest. But all opinions, obviously. And is that Mullen says 6 for Leo is harsh. Agrees with you. Domison, it seems to agree with you. 6 for Leo is harsh. Thought he was popping up well on the wing and spun a defender a few times. Some decent balls. Love the rotation from Arteta. I was with you. I didn't think he was going to do that much rotation. Also, the Kai dive needs to be addressed. I'm really unhappy with that again. Yeah, he certainly needs to work on that. And I would hope Mikel Arteta is going to be speaking to Kai Havertz about that today, because that was a completely needless yellow card. All right, that's it from me today. Thank you very much for watching and for listening. Appreciate your time as always. I'll be back later on. Oh, yeah, sorry. Always should flag this at the start. I always forget and flag it at the end. I'm recording Inside Arsenal Extra Time with James Bench today. So if you want to get involved in that show, anything you want to talk about, any opinion, question, do what you usually do. Start it with Extra Time and then put your question or your opinion or a comment down below, and we'll try and get that involved in the show. So until then, have a great day, everyone. I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.